Hello folks, Scott with Dallas Paint Correction and Auto Detailing here in Dallas, Texas. I just did a video about the Works WG520 leaf blower, how much I love it when I'm wanting to dry cars. Well, now I want to show you a trick and a tool that I use where I do not worry about drying the vehicle at all after I wash it. In fact, I leave it wet and I let the sun actually become my best friend in the moment. I actually want the sun to dry the car. Typically that's a no-no, right? We're going to get water spots on the car. Well, this is my scenario to you guys, is that let's say, let me put this down, I don't want to show you the tool. Let's say I wanted to use free-flowing water. I wanted to use water from the tap. I want to pre-soak the panel or pre-rinse the panel. That's cool, right? I've got most of the loose dirt off it. Now I'm going to take my wash mitt and dunk it in soap. I'm going to wash the panel, and then I'm going to rinse the soap off after that. That's cool, and I'm going to go all the way around the car. Now this is the scenario. You've got tap water on there. You might have hard water. This is where the water spots come in. I want to show you a tool that I incorporate in my washing process. I may use free-flowing water from a tap. I may actually use my electric power washer if I've got a really hammered car that I want to wash. But the very last step I'm going to do is take advantage of the sun, and I'm going to show you a really cool tool to do it with. I want the sun to dry the car. I don't even want to worry about it. What I have is this sucker right here. It's made by Works. It's the Hydro Shot. The model number is a WG629. This is a cordless, battery-operated, 20-volt, cordless power washer, and it's got a tube on it, and on the ground, I'll show it to you in a minute, I have a 5-gallon bucket filled with 4 gallons of distilled water. So let's say I've washed the car with free-flowing water from the tap, and now the sun is out and I'm panicking. Do I dry it with my leaf blower? Well, sometimes what I do is take advantage of the fact that I have this cordless machine. It's self-priming. It will suck from a bucket that has distilled water in it. I will take this thing and simply rinse the car down quickly and leave distilled water on it. What's really important to understand, maybe some of you guys are going, well, I would use like a pump sprayer. The problem with using a pump sprayer, it doesn't have enough power to push the tap water on the vehicle off and then leave distilled water behind. So you need a little bit more power. So this is where I incorporate this tool. Again, it's in a bucket, I'll show it to you in a minute, of distilled water in a 5-gallon bucket. I've washed the car with free-flowing water from the tap. Cool. Now I want to push that off and put distilled water. This thing here will give me, when you're siphoning from a bucket, when you've got this tube in a bucket, it will give you about 170 psi worth of pressure. When you do research on this machine, it tells you that it will do 320 psi. That is true, but not in this scenario. The only way to get 320 psi from this is if I took this siphoning line off, took this nipple off here, and screwed a garden hose directly into the bottom of the pump, and I had the garden hose on. It needs to take advantage of the pressure from the garden hose to be able to give you 320 psi. But in this moment, I don't need that kind of pressure. I'm just using it to, let me prime this thing since I took it off the handle, took it off the pump. Okay, it's primed. When I took that off, I lost some prime. I just had to prime it there for a second. So I've used free-flowing water from the tap. I've washed off my soap. Now I'm going to take this stuff that's got distilled water in the bucket, and I will rinse the car with distilled water. Now what I have done, because this has the ability, enough pressure to be able to push the tap water off and then leave the distilled water on the panel, I now have a car that's still wet. I can take my Works leaf blower if I want, but maybe I want to take it out of the process altogether because I'm doing a full detail. I'll wash the car first, rinse it with distilled water using the Hydro or the Works Hydro Shot. I will then open up all 4 doors and start detailing the inside of the car, and I'll let the sun dry the vehicle. I don't have to touch it. I don't have to break out the leaf blower. I take it completely out of the scenario. This little machine here with this little battery pack will last about 35 minutes continuous if you hold the trigger. When I'm just rinsing the car off to put distilled water on, it just takes a couple of minutes. I can do 4 or 5 cars with that scenario with this battery, and I'll be fine. I can use it all day long. I do have another battery. If I want another battery, I've got it fully charged inside my truck. But you can get away with 1 battery if you want. The other scenario is, let's say if I got a customer that's on my maintenance program that uses me weekly. Yes, I can use a rinseless wash if I want, but let's say I want to use free-flowing water and I want a little bit of pressure, because you all know when you're doing rinseless washes and you're trying to clean the wheels, it's a little hard. After you've used your favorite wheel woolly to clean the inside of the barrels, you got to reach in there and try to rinse it off. Sometimes it's nice to have free-flowing water. Well, this will give you enough pressure. Let me point it down there towards the wheel so I'll show you. This will give you enough pressure. So if I'm doing a rinseless wash and I clean the inside of that wheel, now I've got my bucket with distilled water and this wand hooked up to it. I can get in here. That's kind of a pain in the butt when you're doing rinseless washing and you're trying to do wheels. You got to take a rag to get off your super clean, maybe if you degrease the wheels, or if you put your cleaner inside the wheel wells or the wheel barrels and you use your wheel woolly or whatever your favorite brush is. Now you got to want to rinse that stuff off the wheel. This will help you with that. I love this machine. It's amazing. If you use it appropriately, this will last you for years. I do not use this to power wash my driveway with. I just fit it into my scenario in my auto detailing business, and it has changed my life. If I choose to use free-flowing water and I'm not going to do a rinseless wash or a waterless wash, I can put distilled water on the car with this very quickly. This 4-gallon bucket, let me put this down and show you. That 4-gallon bucket, I got a gamma seal on the top, I lock it up. If I fill it up with 5 gallons of distilled water, each gallon costs me about 74 cents. It's not an expensive proposition to do this. I will use very little water just to rinse the car down with distilled water and let the sun dry the car. I will get multiple cars out of that, and I'm not losing my distilled water because I got a gamma seal on top of it. I lock it up, I put it in my truck, and it always has clean distilled water in it. This machine here, I bought it for about $79. I bought it when Works first came out with it. I'm on their mailing list, and they let me have it at an introductory price. Right now, that Hydro Shot on Amazon is about $119. Folks, if you use it appropriately, use it to just rinse cars off with distilled water. Take advantage of the sun drying the car if you want. Or if you want to use the wand to clean the barrels a little bit better when you're doing a rinseless wash, this thing, in my opinion, will last you years. It has a 3-year warranty right out of the box. You can extend it to 4 or 5. But even for $119, if it lasted me a year or two, but gave me a great advantage of never having to worry about blowing the car, drying the car, or touching it, leave distilled water on it, let the sun dry it, holy crap, it's worth every dime if it only lasted a year or two. It's not much more expensive. I won't even use, to rinse down this car, I won't even use half a gallon of distilled water, and then I'll let the sun dry it. It's such a cheap proposition, and that machine, if I use it appropriately, I don't use it to power wash my driveways with, I just use it in this scenario, it'll last for years. I love it. The middle wand will come off, and then you can take that nozzle on the end of it, which is just a short lance, and plug it into the gun. You lose a tremendous amount of pressure that way. You'll only get about 70 psi when you're siphoning out of a bucket. So I like the long wand out of it because it increases the pressure. The end of the nozzle has a adjustment on it, so you can have a 40-degree nozzle, a 25-degree nozzle, 0 degrees. Again, it's not a lot of pressure. Don't think you're going to be able to blast off a car that just came out of the woods and hasn't been washed in months. You're still going to want to use free-flowing water, or maybe not. You can still do it with that, but you'll probably go through a lot of water with it. But that's the way I use that Works machine. Now my car is wet, I don't give a crap. If it was sunny right now and 100 degrees, I'll just let the car dry on its own and I won't have one water spot on the car, all thanks to that little machine. So if I wanted to, I can have another bucket with distilled water in it, my car soap. If the car's not all that hammered, I can pre-rinse with my hydro shot, dip my wash mitt in the wash soap, wash the panel, and then rinse the panel with my hydro shot, get around this car quickly, and then just leave it wet. I don't have to worry about it at all. In fact, I want it to be blasting sunny and hot because I want the sun to dry the car. I can also clean the wheels better with this little machine, especially if I only offer rinseless washing. A lot of you guys that offer rinseless washings, that can become a little bit of a pain in the butt. It's nice to have some pressure. It's nice to have some water. You don't necessarily have to fill it with distilled water if you don't want to. You can fill it with regular tap water, up to you. But I think for my purposes, distilled water changes my game completely, and I love it. I wanted to share it with you. The Works, the Hydro Shot, used appropriately will last you for years. Guys, look into it. It will change your life. You will not have to worry about any water spots ever again, and you won't even have to dry the car. You can go inside, start vacuuming, clean the inside, let the sun take care of it for you. Love you guys. Hopefully that helps you out. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.